Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Clark Time Media.
Djonai Carrington is looking around the room like, oh my God, I've never been in this much fire. I mean, it's getting so bad that now her endorsements are potentially about to pull out on representing Djonai Carrington.
This just goes to show that Djonai has no self-awareness in what's going on. Djonai Carrington runs on threads immediately. White privilege at Indiana Fever. White privilege. You running around with blonde hair. It looked like you trying to be white. It looked like you trying to be a white girl. What are you talking about, white privilege? The white girl just got a technical foul for something she didn't even do. What are you talking about, white privilege, bro? This is why she should be banned from the league. They always run.
It states here, Reebok is reportedly dropping their endorsement for Djonai Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Let's go.
Djonai Carrington witnessed the collapse of her entire career in just 1 week. The most strange part is that she was almost entirely responsible for her own injuries. This isn't a story about a referee making a bad call or a league unfairly singling out a player. This article discusses a hard foul that may have blown over in a single news cycle, and it somehow turned into a full-fledged reputational disaster due to the choices Carrington made in the hours and days that followed. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 85% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video.
Did y'all see what happened when this young lady got ejected from a WNBA game the other day for a flagrant foul on Sophie Cunningham? Did y'all see that? She got ejected from the game for that flagrant foul right there. And I'll be damned if that wasn't a flagrant too. She mugged her. Damn near came across like decapitating her, for crying out loud. That was definitely a hard foul. Make no mistake about it. Nobody can argue about it. You can say what you want. We know what we saw. No way around it. The Djonai Carrington foul was clearly unnecessary. It was a flagrant foul penalty too. It was absolutely positively correct call. It was called the flagrant two. That's a flagrant two every single damn time in the NBA and the WNBA.
DJ, Carrington had to make a decision at this time, and she made the wrong decision right away. Only minutes after being escorted off the court, before she had even reached the locker room, she specifically named the Fever in a social media post about white privilege. Cunningham's name was already linked to a national discussion about transgender athletes in women's sports without any context or explanation. Carrington then shared a please smile emoji along with the date of the upcoming Sky Fever game, which many perceived as more of a purposeful prodding of the bear than an accident.
Djonai Carrington tweeted out white privilege from the locker room of a game that she was playing in. Get this. She fouls Sophie Cunningham hard. Sophie Cunningham, obviously a white person, fouls her hard. Flagrant two, gets ejected, goes to the locker room and tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now here's the kicker to me. A flagrant two has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. Djonai, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was not it.
Think about the optics of the sequence for a moment. A player is ejected after committing a serious foul. Instead of stopping to collect her breath, she immediately uses one of the most offensive terms in today's cultural debate and blurts it out without any explanation. Even though she would later offer 3 different explanations in the days that followed, millions of people first believed that she was suggesting that the officiating crew had punished her because of her race. Once the accusation is made public, it becomes a significant one, even if it is made quietly. You really can't take it back, no matter how hard you try to justify it later.
I would actually say that this is black privilege, to be totally honest with you, because her posting this white racist comment right after assaulting Sophie Cunningham on the court is actually black privilege because she knows the WNBA won't do a single thing of significance about it. And imagine if the roles were reversed. If Sophie made a comment similar to this, then she'd likely never play again. And actually, we just saw this from Coach Sandy Brondello. She got disciplined for making, I believe, a pretty innocent, maybe, offhand comment about talking about Angel Reese and saying that she's a protected species. She was suspended and disciplined. And I think if that's the standard, then Djonai should be too.
The post was no longer included. In a matter of hours, The story on basketball social media changed from being about a severe foul to one about race, purpose, and if Carrington was using a serious term to hide a dirty behavior. At this moment, the topic of discussion changed from a clear foul that could happen to anyone to whether Djonai Carrington had just made unfounded accusations of bias against the officiating crew and, by extension, the league. Her whole scenario started to get out of control at this point. National media outlets grabbed it up. It was mentioned on sports talk shows the next morning. Moreover, none of that show was centered around basketball anymore.
I'm just wondering, is this all some sort of bizarre PR strategy to attract eyeballs, or is the WNBA fundamentally broken?
No. That's you because you're a good person trying to find some kind of rational reason for doing this other than what it is. It's pure and simple racism and hate. They're mad that the best player in the league is a heterosexual white woman. Let's just be honest. She's not one of the confidants in their creed. And so therefore it's been a concentrated effort to go after her. Even her head coach doesn't stand by. So, and I think it's hilarious, and at the same time, they don't know what a woman is. And I'm very proud of Freedom and the other gentlemen for finding out who they are. And I wish them the best. And hopefully the league will, since it's an all tolerant league and their head coaches wear shirts about trans women count. Well, here's two. And I hope they give them their opportunity and the young lady in France as well. So I think it's a league that has got away with being racist and disgusting to people, and now they're Americans are smart to it. So hopefully they get some of their own. But I wouldn't let my daughters watch it.
Then the blowback was noticed by someone. Former NFL player and TV personality Emmanuel Aiko publicly denounced the statement on his own show. "You hit her in the head. The bleeding was initiated by you." Aiko said, "You didn't touch the ball at all." He called it incredibly stupid and, in his words, foolish to frame that specific transgression as a result of white privilege. That is a heavyweight in the sports media. A WNBA player was labeled ignorant and stupid on television a few days after being expelled. That's not your average online troll. Someone with a credible platform is testing Carrington's judgment in front of a wide audience. Additionally, if a video like that becomes viral, it becomes the soundbite that follows a player around for a lot longer than the first foul would have. Djonai Carrington tried to change his mind at this point. But instead of making things better, the way she executed it made them worse. She retaliated at Aiko on X rather than coolly expanding on her first piece. "I have never once claimed in my essay that the assessment of the foul was predicated on white prejudice. You took that for granted. Try applying your critical thinking skills. I know you were a psychology student." She argued that she would never use a word like that as what she described as a rhetorical weapon without providing evidence, and she went on to claim that she was the furthest thing from ignorant on the subject, abandoning her Stanford education in the process. She is claiming that she never intended it that way, defending her right to use the phrase, and mocking the person who criticized her. It's unclear. Almost nobody was satisfied with that, which is uncertainty disguised as assurance. Neither the individuals chasing her nor those defending her. If anything, it caused a second issue on top of the first, since the story was now about more than just the original post. It had to do with how hostile and unclear her response had been to straightforward criticism. Because it appeared more like someone trying to win an argument she had already lost the moment she hit send on the first post than someone clearing up a misunderstanding. Fans who had previously given her the benefit of the doubt after the foul itself started to turn against her in this specific exchange.
But if we are paying attention to what Djonai Carrington did to Sophie Cunningham, it was not a race-based decision. And to call that a white privilege-based foul is to completely undermine the term of white privilege and to also completely ignore the rules in basketball. You hit her in the head, you drew blood, you didn't connect with the ball at all whatsoever. So to me, it was just very ignorant and to some degree asinine by Djonai Carrington to suggest that that call was based on white privilege. Have we seen examples of white players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. Have we seen examples of black players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. There was no white privilege involved in that specific call. Djonai, you hit her in the head and you drew blood.
2 days later, before Chicago's game against Seattle, Carrington tried out version 3 of the explanation in front of the media. This time, She said the foul was unfortunate and unintentional, and she attributed the timing to Rust's recovery from a foot injury. In the piece itself, she once again turned evasive, saying only that she had previously spoken with those who might have the power to effect the change she wanted, without ever making it apparent who she was referring to or what the tweet actually meant. 3 different explanations in 3 days. A hard foul that was just her competitive mentality, a popular post about white privilege that appeared to have nothing to do with the foul, and a later tweet endorsing the same piece that she now says had nothing to do with any of it. That kind of shifting focus might turn a lousy week into a dreadful reputation, because reporters, fans, and brand partners all saw the same thing at the same time. Nobody could persuade her to give a coherent account, and every effort to do so merely brought up more unanswered questions.
Every single game for the rest of the season counts. And the fact that she let her hate and her ego cost the game for her entire team is so toxic. It goes to show that she has very little respect for her teammates because they all work their absolute asses off. They've all got something to prove. They know that, they started the season with all this hype. They didn't kick it off very strong. And so they have all been working their asses off, coming together, playing patiently. When I say patiently, they've been playing patiently, learning how to actually run the court together. There's a lot of new pieces. There's been some injuries. There's been people returning from injury. There's been a lot of changes. The fact that they were just on the rise, and as a FIFA fan, I can say they were actually schooling us in the first quarter. They came back when we were up 8 points. Djonai herself was bawling out, and she just cost the game for her teammates.
Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham did the one thing that, in contrast, made Carrington look even worse. She remained calm. When asked directly about the post following Indiana's victory, Cunningham said, "I think the league is addressing that. This has nothing to do with race. After a similar incident last year, I was kicked out and I deserved it. There is absolutely no reason to talk about race." Just a gently reminder that she had previously been the victim of a flagrant infraction and had received her own punishment without protest. No shouting, no demands, split-screen scenes where one player remains composed while another finds it difficult to understand. 3 different replies are especially appealing to sponsors and brands. Who is right on that specific basketball play doesn't really matter at that point. It's about who seems resilient. And every time a microphone is positioned in front of them, who seems to be making a challenging situation worse. Cunningham seems to be the most responsible person in the room after that exchange. Carrington comes out of it as though she still doesn't know what to say.
She posted white privilege after getting tossed from the game, but says it wasn't about the foul. Can you explain this?
No, I can't. When she tweeted white privilege, she did it so quickly, it was almost as though she had the phone in her pocket after this foul and she got ejected. So, to say she wasn't referring to this play, or getting kicked out and saying that the only reason she got kicked out and it got upgraded is because Sophie Cunningham is white is crazy. It was a crazy thing to tweet, maybe crazier than to try to act like it had nothing to do with the play. So I have no idea what she's talking about. I don't think anybody can have any idea what she's talking about. Bizarre.
This takes us to the part of the story where Djonai Carrington's job is actually at danger. When Reebok signed Carrington to a multi-year contract back in April of last year, she became the face of both the Djonai sneaker and their basketball relaunch. It was a significant deal at the moment and made her one of the league's rising commercial faces heading into this season, building on her most improved player and all-defensive first-team selections. But as soon as the subject came out, fans started instantly flooding Reebok's pages. Posts like "Djonai Carrington's endorsement deal needs to be immediately canceled by Reebok" characterized the entire incident as an unsuccessful justification and a cheap shot. People are unaware of the significance of such a direct pressure campaign. Brands closely monitor their comment sections during periods like this. Unfavorable comments on a signature shoe turn into a commercial problem rather than just a public relations inconvenience when they start to dominate all other posts.
Oh my God, it's getting real. It is getting very much real for in the field, for them pockets. That's what I like to see. Pockets getting hit hard, bro. Hard. Because somebody need to hold these players accountable for the stupidity they have been putting out. Because it has been a lot of stupidity. And to add even more salt to injuries, thousands of people are calling for Reebok to drop their endorsement for Djonai Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Now, this was from earlier this morning.
According to a number of rumors that are presently circulating, Reebok is planning to fully terminate its contract with Carrington rather than risk being linked to a nasty dispute, exactly what those fans were asking for. Think about the actual effects on a brand. A signed athlete contract is not taken lightly by businesses. There are contracts. That face has already been the focus of marketing initiatives. We've already spent real money. Reebok's purported rapid withdrawal shows how poorly their internal evaluation of the matter is going. They wanted space, and they wanted it now, snorts. Because a company's name appears in headlines that they never asked to be a part of every week, that they continue to be involved in a situation like this.
But when black people do some foolishness, they got to be held accountable just like any other damn race. And I'm telling you right now, she need to be held accountable. So Reebok, stick it to her. Stick it to her. Because what she did was ruined a brand deal like no other. She ain't even all that on the basketball court anyways. Common sense would have told you not to clothesline Sophie Cunningham from hell. Because you want to know why? The backlash you're going to get from that decision will affect your pockets. And I'm so happy that these brands are now seeing what we've been seeing. A whole lot of BS going on from these players. And I'm telling you right now, more players need to lose brand deals when they do stupidity, especially to Caitlin Clark.
No one wants to articulate this truth plainly. So let's do it. This was all unnecessary. A flagrant foul happens in basketball. Players take the fine after being fired, go on, and a week later, the episode is only remembered in a highlight reel. That didn't depress Djonai Carrington. She was sunk by the song that came after the whistle. The Fever was immediately tagged in a post using a risky word with no context. She was clearly looking forward to round 2 based on her joyful smile. The combative response to a critic instead of an initial explanation. A third version of what transpired was subsequently provided during a press conference instead of a direct answer. All of those circumstances were voluntary. That first post wasn't forced upon her. Nobody forced her to take revenge on Aiko in a way that appeared more like an argument triumph than damage control. And when a business is keeping an eye on everything in real time and trying to decide whether to keep paying an athlete to represent their shoes, that pattern is more significant than the initial infringement. Sponsors do not sign athletes in an attempt to control controversy. They sign players in the expectation that they won't make headlines that force the business to deal with problems it didn't want to.
Djonai Carrington, after getting thrown out of the game for her ridiculous foul on Sophie Cunningham, went to social media and claimed white privilege. To that, Emmanuel Acho basically pushed back and said, you can't call everything white privilege. It undercuts the idea so many have talked about. And then Djonai went to X and responded to Emmanuel Acho. He said, I never once claimed that the assessment of the foul was white privilege. That was your assumption. Try exercising your critical thinking skills. No, you studied psych. Furthermore, I'm the last thing from ignorant or asinine when it comes to speaking on white privilege. Do your research on that one. Actually went to school, one of the top universities, might I add, to educate myself on this exact subject. I would never use that term as a rhetorical weapon, knowing the historical and social weight it holds without having the proper evidence to substantiate it. So, in your face, Manuel. What I want to know is, then why were you posting white privilege in the locker room immediately after being ejected? What were you randomly sitting in the locker room having just been ejected thinking about when you posted white privilege? And by the way, tagged the Indiana Fever.
The jealousy angle that underlies all of this becomes hard to ignore when you align the time. Cunningham has been one of the league's most talked about names the entire season, attracting national media attention, amassing huge social media followings, and becoming a hot issue for conversations that go well beyond basketball. Carrington, on the other hand, has had to fight for attention even during a good individual season. When two players have so much history together on the court, and one of them is often at the focus of a news cycle, it doesn't take much for long-standing rivalry to become personal. Regardless of whether it was the precise reason for the foul, the pattern of everything that transpired, including the instant allegation, the defensive posture, and the reluctance to just let it go, reads far more like rage bubbling over than like a perfect basketball move gone wrong. Now think about what she actually has access to in the future. Before deciding whether to pursue a similar arrangement, other brands closely monitor a rumored Reebok termination. The front offices of the league start to covertly wonder if hiring her will lead to more distraction than productivity. When she touches the ball while driving, fans who were previously uninterested in her suddenly have a very clear cause to make fun of her. During press conferences, teammates are also compelled to respond to inquiries about subjects unrelated to their performance on the court that night.
Hey, the black girl, jail. She needs to go to jail immediately.
You would have
jail.
to believe it's going to be
Don't pass go. Go straight to jail. This is assault, right? This is assault. Now let me tell you something. This is assault. She needs to go to jail. Premeditated. Go to jail. Go to jail. She needs to be arrested. Go to jail. I want her in jail. I want her in jail. She should never touch her. Nah, can't do it. All right, we already know the WNBA is in a position right now. You need to make an example of that Don Imus. That Don Imus needs to be made an example of. That Don Imus needs to be made an example of. She needs to go to jail for assaulting Miss Cunningham. She needs to go to jail immediately.
Once more, compare that to Cunningham's response a year ago after he was the victim of an obvious foul.
She got kicked out.
She said she deserved it. Furthermore, she didn't expand the plot beyond what was required. That's what makes a challenging evening different from a professional disaster. One player lost the moment. The other one kept playing music to keep it going. Post after post, justification after justification, until a business that had really bet money on her reputation decided it was no longer worth the risk. And that's the lesson at the heart of the entire narrative. Talent signs an athlete. Their elegance is what keeps them signed. Djonai Carrington has always had the first one. Her performance on the floor speaks for itself, and there isn't much evidence to the contrary. But once every post and quote is seen by millions of people, this past week's event showed how quickly the second one can vanish and how little margin for mistake there is. And every attempt to clean up a mess that became bigger with each explanation. Djonai Carrington was able to get a footwear deal despite a serious infraction. She had every chance to settle down in the days that followed, but she didn't, and now she's going wild over everything she said. And until she promptly modifies her reaction to the next headline, this Reebok event might only be remembered as the first domino rather than the last.